I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question
let me
is.
show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m. Quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy." Close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Welcome back to American Mindset, the channel where we fight for truth, freedom, and the values that make America great. Today, we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping Senate hearings I've ever seen. Senator Kennedy absolutely dismantled Professor Marion Franks, a so-called expert, invited by the Democrats to testify. Let me tell you, folks, this hearing was a masterclass in exposing hypocrisy, political bias, and the dangerous rhetoric that's poisoning our country. Did you catch that, patriots? Senator Kennedy goes straight for the jugular with perhaps the most important question of the day. Are your personal political beliefs clouding your objectivity? And what does Professor Franks do? She denies it. She claims she's guided by Supreme Court precedent. But here's the thing. Her own words, her own tweets, and her own writing say otherwise. Let's watch the video.
Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley's, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that, I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship industrial complex.
I got that part.
No, I just
got
want
that
to
part.
clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, as I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words, "Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy," end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, "When the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, "by simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court," referring to the current United States Supreme Court, "has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well," close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You're trying to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question is.
let me show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m. Quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this
Did you
hearing.
say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is
you
the
said it.
relevance of
Here
that
it
to
is,
this
big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me
doctrine.
like your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy," close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I read that correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
Did you
and other
say
state
that?
officials for punishing people for
Did
their
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
You
the First
heard of
Amendment
curb your
seriously, sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
In her law review article, she accuses the Supreme Court of turning the Constitution, a document that has guided and protected our freedoms for over 200 years, into a tool of racial patriarchy. What does that even mean? I'll tell you what it means. It's radical academic nonsense designed to undermine our institutions and divide Americans by race. And then there's this gem. In the same article, she says that the Supreme Court is promoting white men killing people. Are you kidding me? This isn't an academic argument. It's pure, unfiltered hate speech against a specific group of Americans. Imagine if those words were said about any other race or gender. The outrage would be deafening. But because it's against white men, it's somehow acceptable. Not on my watch. Then we've got her Twitter account, or X account, because let's face it, that platform is just a dumpster fire for leftist rhetoric. This woman has the audacity to claim that the majority of Americans hate women. Really? The same Americans who have fought for women's rights, passed laws to protect them, and voted for female leaders. This isn't just insulting, it's flat out wrong. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. Senator Kennedy asks her if she really believes the Supreme Court is guided by white male supremacy. And what does she do? She dodges the question. She refuses to give a straight answer. Why? Because she knows her argument doesn't hold water. Let me tell you something, patriots. The Supreme Court isn't guided by white male supremacy. It's guided by the Constitution. It's guided by the rule of law. The only people injecting race and gender into these decisions are radicals like Franks, who want to tear down our institutions and rebuild them in their own Marxist image. This isn't just an attack on the Supreme Court. This is an attack on you, on me, on every American who believes in personal responsibility, freedom, and the right to defend yourself. These people want to take away your guns, silence your speech, and rewrite history to fit their narrative. And they'll do it while pretending to be objective. But here's the truth. America is not a country of hate. We are a country of hope. We are a nation built on the idea that all men and women are created equal under God. The Constitution doesn't discriminate. It protects. And that's why we have to fight back against this kind of divisive rhetoric. Senator Kennedy ended with a line that perfectly sums up how I feel. Cur my nausea. That's exactly what I wanted to do after hearing this professor's testimony. But patriots, we can't just sit back and be disgusted. We need to act. We need to vote. We need to speak out and stand up for the values that made this country great. So, here's my challenge to you. Share this video. Share the truth. Let's make sure everyone knows what's really happening in these hearings. And if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, because here on Rising Daily, we're not backing down. Stay strong. Stay free. And as always, God bless America.